So I have to admit, I was the high school wrestling captain.
Oh.
So I don't know if it's quite
You got
the
some
same.
skills? You want to come on the mats too? When Danny's coming next week.
Oh, I can
Let's
pin
go.
Danny all day long. My senior year, I didn't play soccer, and I wrestled, and the
That's
coach
awesome.
was really mad that I didn't play the whole year. I didn't really know what I was doing, but then because I was playing, but it was more, I had confidence.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
Because I was a tomboy and was like, yeah, let's freaking go. And we had a girls team that I was a captain of, but we had no other girls team to wrestle against.
Yeah.
So we only wrestled against dudes. And being 18 and fully developed, wrestling against a 14-year-old boy in the 135 weight class was extremely unfair. That kid probably had never touched a girl in his life, and then he's getting in the ring with me, and it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Welcome to the MNO Show with Marissa Buss.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Super excited.
So let's jump into it. I'm excited to talk about real estate. Do you like talking about real estate?
Always.
All right. So, born and raised in Thousand Oaks?
No.
No. Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Holland. My father was a major in the Army, and he was stationed in Germany and Holland. And so I lived there for the first 2.5 years of my life, and then we moved to Georgia, North Carolina, Illinois, and at 6 years old, I ended up in lovely Thousand Oaks, California.
At 6 years old.
At 6 years old. So I've been here on and off since, and yep, still here.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
So Holland, then what was
Georgia.
it? Georgia,
North Carolina.
Illinois.
And then Illinois, and then Thousand Oaks,
Wow.
California.
So you jumped around a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it military still?
Yeah, my father was in the military the whole time. So
Okay.
my brother Nelson went to, every year had to move, basically.
Okay.
Every year to 2 years.
Oh, man.
But
And I went to high school with Nelson.
yes,
Oh, you did?
that's how John and I know each other.
Yes.
That's how you guys know each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so then, how did you get into real estate? And it sounded like you were in commercial real estate first?
Yes.
Till 2008.
So I used to work in the restaurant biz way back in the day. So I originally wanted to be a documentary filmmaker. Okay. And I was going to school to be a documentary filmmaker. And I ended up working in Calabasas at a restaurant called Finn's. And my regulars would tell me that I will never make any money as a documentary filmmaker and I should go into real estate. And there was a whole residential buzz, and so they kept trying to get me into it. And then one of my regulars was a commercial real estate agent, and his assistant had quit, and I said, fine, I'll come be your licensed junior agent is what it was. And so I got licensed and started cold calling and left the restaurant business. And I worked in that until the Great Recession.
Yep.
So in 2010, I switched over to residential, and I've been in that since.
Okay.
Yeah.
You part of a group? Have a group?
I have a team, yes. So I have 6 agents on my team.
Oh, wow.
And pretty much
What's the name of it? The
Buss Lampert Group of Aviara Real Estate.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a shareholder here in Westlake.
Awesome.
Yeah, Westlake Village.
So give us a recap of the real estate market right now. Like what's going on in residential real estate?
So in residential real estate right now, it's the same thing it's been basically since 2014. The markets continue to appreciate. It has appreciated, and everyone wants to say you're at the high, but we don't know when the high will be because we have no inventory. So we've been waiting to get to this regular market of 6 to 8 months worth of inventory, and we have been at below 3 months of inventory since I started in 2010.
Oh, wow.
So until we start building, which in Conejo Valley, we will never do because open space is our gift
Right.
You know, and that's why people move here. So we will be in a low inventory single family home mode for the next 20 to 25 years. The only thing they're building here right now are apartments and higher density units. Maybe we'll get some condos, but as far as single family homes go, if you own one, don't sell it.
Yeah. Is part of the reason too, with the interest rates going up? I mean, is that keeping people in their houses too, not wanting to, where they might be in a house right now and they have like a 3%.
Right.
And then if they moved and they had to refinance into a new house, they're going to be looking something higher.
So, you know, from 2014 to about 2021, you had people who were going to move because they finally had their house come back to value from the Great Recession, right? And so they were moving for that fourth bedroom, for that pool, for that bigger backyard. Now that interest rates have doubled since basically June of 2022, people are looking at like, oh, wow, so my payment is going to double for me to get that fourth bedroom? Well, maybe I'll add on.
Right.
Or maybe I don't really need it. Or maybe I can put a pool in this house, or I can remodel it and make it work. So 100%, that is only adding to our problem here, where we have low inventory and we're not going to get more inventory unless it's for divorce, death, relocation, you know, going into a nursing home. Those are really, it's event lifestyle events that cause people to sell right now. Because who doesn't love their 2.25% interest rate? I know I do.
How do you motivate your team in like such a tough environment then? The people are scratching and clawing at those deals and the few that are on the market.
Right. So there's over 3,000 agents in our area, and about 1,500 of them do not sell even a deal a year. So you've got your top 20% that are selling the majority of the deals, and then you have from the 50 to 30% that are selling maybe up to 10 deals a year. So as long as you treat this job as a business, which no one has a boss, right? So I could go get a massage and a pedicure and a manicure every day and go run on the beach if I wanted to. I won't make any money, but I'm still a real estate agent, right?
Right.
No one's going to fire me. So you have that clientele, or perhaps it's a second career for them, right? They're just supplementing their retirement, which is the majority of real estate agents. So then you have the ones who treat it like a business, like myself and my team, where we are trying to cultivate systems to keep having consistent business. And so those people are the ones doing the majority of the business. So as far as motivation, I don't allow people on my team who aren't motivated and want to treat it like a business. If you're looking to just supplement your income, you're not working for me.
Right.
Or with me, I should say. They don't work for me, they work with me.
Yeah.
So
that was always my model.
yeah, I'm not their boss.
Right.
I'm their
Your
coach
team.
and trying to motivate them and help them cultivate a business for themselves and their family.
That's interesting.
So let's talk about you're now a elected official.
I know, isn't that weird?
It's
Pretty
awesome.
wild. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, I never literally ever thought about having my name on a ballot for a election.
Yeah.
And
Parks and Rec, is that right?
yeah, so I'm on the Conejo Recreation and Park Board, and it's almost as funny as the actual TV show, I will say.
It's like that's like a thing.
Yeah,
It's
no,
similar
like
to that?
it's pretty fun and pretty funny, and but yeah, so it really came back to being in Rotary. So Rotary is a international organization that is a community service driven organization. So you join that to give back, and I joined that to give back and show my children that when you have more, you give back. And so being a part of Rotary, I ended up meeting the general manager of the Conejo Recreation and Park Board and his brother, and they became my clients. And they were like, hey, would you ever run for Conejo Recreation and Park Board? And I'm like, yeah, totally. Like, I played ASO soccer. I grew up on these fields. I take my kids to the library park. I so know what's going on. Yeah, little did I find out that just because I had gone to maybe half the parks in Conejo Recreation and Park Board, there's so much more that they do. So it's been a very interesting learning experience. And so randomly, because they asked me to run, or mentioned it, I should say, my kids were really little when they first asked. And I was like, there's no way. My 3-year-old is pissed off if I leave for a listing appointment. So there's no way I can like leave for 2 nights a month to go to this board meeting. So once they were old enough, I said, hey, you know, I could run now. Do you want me to run, or what's the deal? And they said, yeah, that'd be great. So I threw my hat in the ring. I don't know. I didn't really think about it much. I thought my deal is like, I want to give back as much as I can. I wake up every morning and I have great health, and I feel like I should put forth whatever I can to make the earth a little bit better than I met it in the morning when I woke up. So that's kind of my mantra for life. And so I just push myself to do things that I want to see what happens, you know? And luckily, being in real estate, I've gone through a lot of rejection. So I wasn't as intimidated to put myself out there to run for something, because I've dealt with, I can't even tell you how much rejection in my life. So I was like, I either get it or I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
But so I ran for it.
And you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was fun to vote for you. It's fun to vote for someone who you actually know.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
You know?
I just met people out on your patio here who I have literally, like, our parents knew each other, and I know their siblings very well. And they both were like, oh my gosh, we voted for you. And I'm like, that's hilarious, because I've known of their names and known of them forever. And then they're like, this is so random, but we voted for you. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, that's
So-
really cool. And
Yeah.
yeah. And then also, I mean, yeah, obviously we've worked with you doing the chili cook-off with the Rotary.
Yep.
Well, so
for
the
a
Rotary
few-
puts on the cook-off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So everyone
She's
thinks...
she's the mastermind behind.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so having worked in restaurants, basically, like those were my first jobs. So when I went into real estate, I really missed a busy Saturday or Friday night.
Yeah.
Like the high you get of working in a restaurant and being super busy.
Well, look at these guys down here. They're
Crushing it, right?
up
Yeah.
in it, and they're
Yes.
having the time of their
So
lives.
like when you're slammed and
Yeah.
like you're just like, you know, just it's just like such a rush, right? Because it's a physical job, and you're on and you're just trying to like please people, make them have a good time, and you're just really enjoying hosting. So when I went into real estate, I was like, wow, this is like, we don't really have a rush ever. You know, like, you know, it's a 30-day process, or in commercial when I first went into it,
there's
and
still
a lot of
adrenaline.
90 days,
A lot of
120
waiting,
days.
right? A lot of waiting.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, right?
Hurry up and wait.
So it was so funny. So when I went into residential, and I was like, okay, this is like whatever, you know, you have a 30-day. But when I went into Rotary, and my brother has always had a chili booth at the chili cook-off, and I would go and visit it, and I was like, wow, this is like a really like
Go ahead, be honest. Be honest. Hold nothing back.
I was like, wow, this is a really white trash event we're here at. Where we literally purposely dressed up white trash to go to this event. And I was like, so when we joined Rotary, and then Nelson was like, I want to join this Rotary club because I always did a chili booth, and this is the club that puts on the chili cook-off. And I was like, okay, great, we'll join this club. And when it came to that event, Nelson was like, yeah, I really want to help out on the event. I'm like, great, let's do it. So I said, I will run the kids zone because I have children, and no one else on the committee had children of the age that would be going to the kids zone. So I was like, yeah, I'll totally do this. So then the guy who's running it 8 weeks before the event says, well, I just got promoted and I'm going to be traveling a lot, so I can't run the event anymore.
Oh no.
And we're sitting in the hotel room of the Best Western, because that's where we would like meet for our meetings. And I look over at Nelson, and he looks at me and he's like, just death eye me, like, do not fucking say anything, Marissa. Like, do not raise your hand right now. I'm gonna kill you. Like, stop. And I was just like, oh my God, we could totally run this. Like, why not? Let's try it. Hey, I think we can figure this out. I can't screw up that bad. I used to run restaurants. Like, this can't be that big of a deal. It's only a 5,000 person event. And I definitely serve 200 meals a night in my restaurant. So, like, I'm like, I could do this. So I'm like eyeing him, and he's like death staring me, and I was like, okay, so I won't say anything right here. So we leave, and they didn't tell the people. I'm like, yeah, no, I think I could do it. I've never done one before, but hey, I'm willing to try.
Right.
And they're like, that's great, because in Rotary, it's like PTA. You raise your hand, someone's going to like fill it with 50 things, right? Yeah. So they're like, that sounds amazing. You'll do great. They drop off a binder, like a file box full of binders. And they're like, hey, here's all the manuals to the chili cook-off. And I'm like, what? Like, you want me? And so I told Nelson, hey, we're going to run this. And Nelson's like, I could kill you right now. And so they drop off this box, and I'm like, who the hell reads these things? Like, have you heard of Google Docs? Like, this is insane. So I basically just put it to the side of my office. We did the first one, and then my brother, so we did that one. It was really, whatever.
What year was that? Do you remember?
2017.
Okay.
So we were just trying to get through and have it be like not a total horrific event. So we get through it. So the next year my brother goes, because he always went to the Portland, Oregon Brew Fest, which is like insane, I guess, huge. Yeah. And he's like, we should really do a craft brew fest in the middle of it. And I was like, what's that? Like, I was having babies and really didn't get out much to any sort of festival at that point. So he was telling me about it. I'm like, okay, sounds cool. Like, we need something, because this is a dying event here in Thousand Oaks. Like, I feel like we all came back and are trying to like make Thousand Oaks cool, which like you did with like adding Tarantula Hill Brewery. Like, come on, we had nothing. Like literally nothing. We had cheesecake, and like Lazy Dog was the hippest thing that has come into this area in I don't know how many years. So we're all back here trying to like revive this area. I feel like. So that's where I was like, okay, cool. Like, what is this like brew festing? How does this work? We need a higher ticket price. So we ran the first one, and I was like, this is great, because it gives you that higher ticket. And so what most people don't know about Chili Cook-Off is they think it's ran by the city and it's for profit. So it is 100% volunteers. I get paid nothing to run it. It's all my whole, like, if all this shit's fucking true and I get up there to heaven and it's all true, they can see I tried. Like, literally why I run the Chili Cook-Off. Like, I don't know. I mean, other than that, besides, like, rekindling the, like, memories of a busy Saturday night in a restaurant, there's no other reason why I do it.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember my memory when I was young of the Chili Cook-Off was it used to be specifically, it was the kickoff to the Conejo Valley days.
Yep.
When Conejo Valley days used to be over in the soccer fields now.
Yep.
And back then there was like no grass. It was just a dirt. It was just dirt.
Oh yeah. Everybody wants to go back to the soccer fields in the dirt.
Yeah, and the Chili Cook-Off was like this very like, I don't know. It was raunchy. It was like
you got Hell's Angels there.
Yeah,
it was a little rough.
It was like cans of Budweiser. I remember was the beer that was sold there. I don't even think it was 21 yet. And there were, it was like, there were Daisy Dukes and.
Oh yeah, I purposely wore like a black bra with a wife beater.
Yeah, exactly.
Like on purpose and like cut it.
There were lots of fights.
Yep. Oh yeah, if you didn't
dirt.
get a fight, like you weren't with the cool people.
Yeah, no, it was like a whole other thing, and then the next day was the Conejo Valley days, and then the Conejo Valley days used to be in the dirt. And
yes,
it was
and
much
do
bigger.
You remember the parade?
Oh yeah, the parade.
Oh my God, I'd be so jealous of the girls who were riding their horses in the parade, and I'd be like, wow, one day maybe like.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they were so cool. And the band, the marching band, would always be there. Oh, it was a whole,
So, anyways, and then the first year for us, we were almost ready to open. So this would have been 2019.
Yep.
And we just bought our house with Nelson, so we were talking a lot, obviously, and that whole thing came up, and then we, he was talking about the craft beer thing, and
you guys weren't even open here.
We
you
weren't
were like
open.
Brewing your beer somewhere else,
we
and then you were like able to bring it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was Conejo Valley Haze, was the name of our first beer. We brewed it at Bergen, our friends at Bergen in Carlsbad. brewed it for us. They let our brewers go down there and brew. That was our very first beer.
Oh yeah, I remember
that we ever
Nelson
did.
was like, "No, they're gonna," and I was like, "Oh my God, are they gonna have the beer? Are they not gonna have the beer?"
Yeah,
like
it was pretty
it was
sketch.
such a like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, they
You guys
pulled it off.
pulled it. You guys
We
pulled it off.
Yeah.
You did.
And we went there and we weren't even open yet, and
Yeah.
and it's a contest,
Yep.
and we won.
Yep.
You know, like the community came in and voted for us.
They
and
were like,
support us.
"Oh my God,
Yeah.
something
Yes,
finally."
thank God we're gonna have our own brewery.
Hallelujah! We
Yeah.
are finally making it on the
Yeah.
map.
It was crazy. So yeah, and then we've done it every year since, and it's
And have
obviously
you won
minus
every
COVID.
year since?
We've won every year. Yes. Yeah. At this point, it would be like, wait, if we didn't win, it would be almost embarrassing.
Well, you win
but
Chili too.
We've won for Chile multiple times. This year we did not win,
Oh.
but all the other years we did win.
How'd you guys feel about that loss?
Okay, so we lost to what's it called?
Tilted.
The
Tilted Kilt or
thank you,
Tipsy
yes.
Goat?
We lost to Tilted Kilt.
Wow, that's right.
But their advertising's a little harder.
Yeah, because they have the girls there.
So you're saying that the taste, but prior years you have won for Chile.
We did win.
But
Did you have the girls?
No, the
No,
Because-
we didn't bring girls. They bring the
But
girls.
but wait a second,
What?
John. So you're saying in
Okay, we're
prior
dissecting.
years
Yes.
you won for Chile,
Yeah.
but now you're just trying to. So Tipsy Goat and Tilted Kilt have always brought the girls. So you're saying that the girls were hotter this year, and that's why they
I
won,
don't-
or
I-
your
You know what?
Chile
No.
wasn't as good.
I'll admit,
No,
when
no.
I walked over to theirs, the girls were begging for the
Yes.
chips.
I think in prior years.
So I think they worked harder.
Begging.
Mindset.
In prior years, I think
Mindset.
the girls weren't as important to their game plan. This year, the game plan, they're like, we're going to beat Tarantula Hill. We are going to bring
I
the
saw
girls.
it.
Wow.
I saw that written actually on
It was
paper
on
on
the-
the
yeah.
ground. Someone
Yeah.
crumpled it up. I'm like,
Well, I'm
Number
gonna just
one, we're gonna bring the
say
girls.
We have a
Number
lot
two,
of
we're gonna
social
beat
media photos that I
Tarantula Hill.
use, and I appreciate Tilted Kilt bringing the girls because what sells tickets to my event is the girls.
Yeah.
And,
tickets for the Chili.
Yeah, so it's awesome, and
Yeah.
so
I'm not mad at them. I get it.
So wait, did you not even get in the top
No,
3?
we did. I think we got second place. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they just like edged you
Yeah.
out.
No,
for
they
first
didn't edge
place.
us out. It was like they had like 800 votes. We had 400 votes.
Oh my goodness.
And the next people had 390 votes.
How did your chef feel about his chili? Did he make a different chili than he
saw
made
the
year
girls. He's
before?
like, yeah, I can't compete
Was
with
it
that.
the same exact chili as the
Same.
year
It
before?
was the same chili. Yes. So maybe next year we switch up the chili. We talked about that.
You're
Another thing
not,
too is
you're
that
not going to bring the girls? You're just
Yeah,
going
I think we
switch
just
up
need to
the chili?
get the girls this year. That's it.
I feel like
Maybe you switch up. Bring the guys.
Bring
Oh.
the guys.
Nice.
Bring the guys.
we bring Danny.
Yay.
Can we bring Danny?
Yeah.
Can
You
Danny?
you can always bring Danny. Danny's always at the chili
We're
cook-off.
bringing Danny.
He saw like a
Danny.
firefighter calendar.
Oh, but he always volunteers with you. So, can we get Danny shirtless
he doesn't
at our
actually
booth?
volunteer. He is technically a member of Rotary, and
Oh, he
his
is, okay.
job is to
Yeah,
run.
no.
I should have asked Danny this, but at the firehouse chili, it always tastes burnt to me. Did they do that on
Well,
purpose?
So Danny,
Okay, if you ask-
Danny is in Oxnard. Okay, he
Yes,
is
Okay.
he's on
not part
Okay.
of Ventura
Well,
County.
I just thought maybe
Fire.
he would know. You know.
Well, we are.
No,
we
They
are,
don't talk?
Oxnard, they don't make
They don't
chili.
talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ventura County has enough time because they
Yeah.
don't have as many calls. So they
Mm.
they can make chili.
No.
If
Right,
you talk to
But
Danny,
so
he
we
doesn't
are-
have enough time to make chili.
We are
Oh.
friends with both the Ventura County sheriffs and the Thousand Oaks,
Me too.
Sure.
That's how I get them there.
and yes, and the fire department, whatever. And so there's obviously every year there's this rivalry between
Yes,
the fire department. and the police
100%. And I start the
Unfortunately,
shit talking on a text
the
thread.
fire department wins every year,
Every year.
which is
you know
unfair.
what? You know what?
And why
the
is that?
sheriffs have really.
They are trying. No, they're trying.
There is a text thread that starts in like every January.
Let's figure
of the
this
year.
out.
So we, New Year's comes, you make your resolutions, and then there comes the text thread between me, Rob Brady from the Ventura
Yep.
County Sheriffs, and Jeff Golden from the
Yeah.
Ventura County Fire Department, and we all went to high school together, and so
Okay.
I begged them to
I
come.
love both of those guys.
Right, I begged
equally.
them both to come, and then they both start their shit talking. And
That's
so
rad.
the thread starts And so Rob Brady the first year, you know, he didn't have as much support as he had hoped for from the sheriffs. But he brought his A game the next year. I mean, did you see the horses? Like, he had the freaking search and rescue horses there.
Yes.
And then this year, did you see the whole attack dog, like, canine?
Yes. Yeah.
And they attacked the firefighter?
Yes.
So I don't get to see all this because I'm busy running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But I get to see the videos later of, like, how the Ventura County sheriffs had the canine attack the Ventura County firefighter, saying that he was stealing tokens from, oh my God, it was hilarious.
That's awesome.
So not this year, they did it on their own this year, but last year we helped a lot with the sheriff's department trying to help them with their chili. We donated.
Oh, to make it taste better?
Yeah, we gave them a bunch of beer. They put beer.
They drank it all.
They probably drank it all.
That's
probably didn't make it into the chili, but
they got drunk, never got the chili out right.
Yes, we gave them a bunch of beer to make the chili. We did a bunch of stuff to help Rob and the team. And yeah, it's definitely a community perception.
100%.
Right? Like, everybody loves the fire department, as you know. Your husband's a fireman.
Yeah. Do you know what the other most loathed career is? I always say. So Danny and I, you know, we've been together almost 20 years, and there was this Forbes magazine episode of, like, the most loved and hated careers.
Yeah.
Number 1 was firefighter, and, like, the bottom was real estate agent.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, luckily we balance each other out. And then he joined real estate, and I'm like, well, you're kind of fucked yourself because now like you were loved and now like you're half loved.
Yes.
Right.
Because you became a real estate agent.
Yeah. That's weird. I don't get that necessarily, but
you know, not all real estate agents are created equal.
That's true.
Hey, skill levels vary.
That's true. There's levels
just
to the
like
game.
in breweries
That's right.
and chili apparently.
Yes, exactly.
Now we know.
Yeah.
So I've only been to the cook-off twice, last 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's really
and
sad.
So having like a fresh perspective, because I'm not from here.
Yeah, but he's only lived in Thousand Oaks for how many years?
6 years.
6 years. So
I didn't know about the chili cook-off until you told me to come.
Yeah.
So so you came the last 2 years?
Yes.
Then? Okay. So I'm curious.
My perspective.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, my perspective, like, wow, this is really cool. Like, not this year, last year, we must have come a little too late. I mean, it was like most of the chili was already
what
like
time
consumed.
Did you come? Don't tell me you came at 2 or 3.
I don't know. It was too late. It was too late. Yeah. But I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is an awesome event.
Yeah.
So then this year I came and we came early and, you know,
well,
saw a million people we knew and so I didn't. It was fun to hear that kind of the background behind it. But from my perspective, coming in fresh, like, it's awesome. Like, you do an awesome job of, like,
so this is my thing. So, like, being a real estate agent, I have a better perspective than, like, than other people in the Rotary Club who are not out in the public as much, right? So I understand we have a lot of relocation people, right? Like, so where did you move from?
Midwest.
Right. So, like, you're coming out here and so there was this whole thing where it was like I felt like the people coming to this area were wanting a more elevated experience, and so that's what my brother and I really tried to create, and that's why he was like, hey, we gotta do this craft brew fest in the middle because that was really hot and it's going on. And I was like, yes, and I want this to be a more family friendly event where like you feel comfortable. It's like a day in the park with your family, and you get to taste a bunch of chili and have some really cool beers, right? And so I'm glad to hear. So the first year you came, we had 1,000 more people than we had this year.
Oh,
because,
really?
Well, because it was out of COVID.
That was the year after COVID, and people were like coming out in droves. Yeah, that was.
It was insane.
It was nuts.
We were like, it won't stop. We're like, they just keep coming, and so we're all.
And we still had fun. I mean, we were.
Which I'm glad to hear, because we
I
are
think
like
most people. Everyone had a good time. It was a lot of people for whatever, but overall everyone had a blast.
Oh yeah. It was insane though, because it was like, and you
difficult.
said that you were like, hey, like this is the first year out of COVID, like this is gonna be insane. And I was like, oh my god, they just don't stop coming. Like,
it was intense. It was like too many people.
Yeah, and then the day after, so my cell phone number is customer service for Chili Cook-Off. And literally, Danny's like, hey, this firefighter is having his birthday party on the lake in Lake Nassau. And I'm like, that sounds awesome. I will have ran this huge event. Let's take the kids out of school for a week. We'll do independent study, and we'll go hang out on the lake. I am so grateful that Lake Nassau does not have cell service through the whole thing because, holy crap, I had never had so many phone calls on my cell phone about like people complaining. And I would explain to him, I said, because most people do not know that 100% of every single penny goes to charity. Like, they think it's a professionally ran event, like you're going to a concert. And I'm like, well, if you went to a concert and you showed up 2/3 of the way in, would you complain and want your ticket funds back?
Yeah.
And so most of the time when I say, hey, you know what? I'm a volunteer. I don't get paid anything to run this. And your money goes back to all small nonprofits in the area. So it's all super local. And they'd be like, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't know. I just had one guy who told me that his girlfriend could run it better. And I said, well, I would love to have her join Rotary and have her call me because I'm more than happy to have someone help me on this event. Yeah. But everybody else kind of like got over it. But this year, because we had 1,000 people less, everyone was like, I didn't have one phone call. I didn't have one phone call. Yeah. Like, I think it was a really well-ran event. That was like the perfect size. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, okay, we found our sweet spot. You guys made the beer garden
bigger.
Yes, we found our sweet spot.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Because last year it was, even if it had been this year and the beer garden was the same size, it would have been too tight. But it was crazy. And and also I think like people, like I think I have a unique perspective on it because I remember going back, way back in the day or whatever from what it was into what it's evolved into. And I have such a, it's like, wow, this is really nice now. This is great. Like you said, like it's family friendly and you have everything you need now. Like before it was like, it was a shit show every year. And like, it was like, I remember we used to have these friends, their dad owned it was called the Worm Concern. They lived on Herbs Road. It was the Mohar family. And they had, he harvested worms.
What?
And sold the soil and all this stuff, and sold worms and soil. And one year they did a chili. They did worm chili.
Oh
what?
My God.
They took their worms and made the chili like it was
there
like.
was real worms in the chili.
Real worms in the chili, yeah. And the chili was actually.
You're like literally. Are you
serious?
Dead serious?
Yeah,
right
dead serious,
now?
yeah.
No way.
The chili was actually pretty good, surprisingly.
With worms in it.
With worms in it, yeah. There was like.
Okay, we need to not say those things because I don't want the health department to like.
No,
be
this was like.
No.
This is back in the day.
This is like 30 years ago.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
way
yeah.
before I.
Yes,
okay.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like, but yeah, it was like.
Before you clean this act up.
Yeah, before it
I was
evolved
like, oh my
into
God.
the current version. Yeah. This is back when it was wife beaters and black bras. yeah.
And Hell's Angels.
And Budweiser cans. Yes.
100%.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it was.
I don't think I'd be into the worm chili.
Oh my God! I used to make like worm families. I'd be really sad if I actually ate them.
Yeah. I mean, obviously high protein.
Well, that is true.
Good food.
That is probably.
There's other ways you can get protein, but.
Yeah. I mean, pea protein's pretty strong, and that's vegan. Like, we don't need to eat worms.
Nobody's eating the pea chili.
I don't think there is a pea chili made.
Yeah, next year we're doing pea chili.
Okay, I will say though, so being
I'm just meaning I'm gonna pee in the chili.
Wait.
Oh my God, no, don't pee in it.
Oh,
but
sorry,
being
okay.
customer service for Chili Cook-Off, because I get all the phone calls, I cannot tell you how many people ask for a vegetarian chili.
Okay.
So if you're gonna make two,
A gluten-free vegetarian chili.
Our
I
chili.
haven't heard gluten-free because why would you put anything gluten in a chili?
People
I don't
do,
know.
though.
Our
don't
chili
Find a reason
is
to throw
the
flour
chili
in there.
that Chef does for our chili is it's Cali Day beer braised pork shoulder chili verde. It's legit. Like our chili's legit. It's a really good chili. Yeah.
I have heard that it was like one of my girlfriend's favorites. She
Okay.
was
It's good.
really excited because
It
I
is good.
recruited her to pour beer in the Craft Brew Fest because that's basically how I get my girlfriends. I said, look, if you want to go to heaven, this is what I hear you have to do. You have to pour beer in the Craft Brew Fest
Yeah.
on Chili Cook-Off Day, and then it's like you're golden. Like, it doesn't matter what you believe. Like,
It's just a
that's
get
like
in free card.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, you are doing charity work that is like
Yeah.
so necessary.
Making the world a better place.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. They love it.
Okay, real quick, let's talk about this cocktail. This is This is a Tarantula old fashioned.
I like it.
Tell us about it. What do you think about it?
Okay, so.
And be honest.
No, I'm gonna be honest.
Because we're about to.
I'm not like.
We're just in the developmental stage of our bar. So.
Well, I don't know if I'm like the best person for it, but normally I drink a margarita and I drink it way too fast. So, literally, we're at.
This was your pace yourself drink?
I know it's kind of fucked up. Huh? Yeah. So literally, this is my pace myself drink because my sister-in-law, we were at my father-in-law's 70th birthday, and she said, "Oh, I drink old fashions because I drink margaritas too fast." And so, my husband and I went and had a. Normally, it's a mezcal spicy margarita is my thing, which I know not everybody's into mezcal, but I am.
I'm not a smoky.
I like the spicy.
Oh, Danny freaking hates it. Yeah. He also doesn't like IPAs and like.
I like the spicy. I don't like the smoke.
I love the smoke and whatever. You know, dirty old girl here. So I like it. I like it smoky.
Dirty old girl. That should be the name of our.
That sounds like
good beer. The name of a drink.
You should.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, "Oh my God, that's my drink!" Like everyone in their 40s will be like, "That is so my drink."
Yes.
But yeah, so I was like, "Oh," she's like, "Oh, I drink old fashions instead of margaritas because they go down too fast." And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a good point." So when we came here tonight, I said to him, like, "Oh, I'm gonna try their old fashioned and see how it is," and it's really strong, so I can see why it's not like where you can just down it, and you need the ice to melt to like.
Yes, you got to take your time on it.
Oh yeah. So I was like, this is amazing.
It gets better the more it gets watered. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
so I'm like, I freaking love it. And then I was kind of like on my first one. This is my second, but on my first one, I was like, what's this cherry all about? I don't know about this. And so then I tried it. And I'm like, oh, it's not like I thought it was gonna be. The like Marciano cherry, and I was like, I don't want like a Shirley Temple cherry. And I tried. I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
It's a good cherry. It's from Italy.
Yeah, like you guys have legit
yeah,
like cherries in this. I was surprised. Yeah. So I am not an old-fashioned connoisseur, but I thought it was really good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Perfect.
I'm enjoying this one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and good job with the ice cubes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
These.
So I definitely endorse these.
Okay, cool.
Maybe we could do these at the chili cook-off, and then I'll have a drink during it.
All right.
That'd be nice. I might need this. Actually, I could use this.
I'm going to give you
at
like
about
20. Every time I see you in the morning.
About 8 in the morning.
I see you in the morning, I was like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you.
Oh my gosh, John, like the first time you were there, like poor John looks at me and it's like in the morning, like I'm a pretty chill person, and like John like calls me and then he's like looking at me, he's like, you have this crazy traffic jam down here, I'm trying to help, and I'm like, I know.
I was like, I'm not trying to add to your stress right now. I can see the stress coming. You were like literally like, you could see like heat waves coming off her body, like.
Because in the morning, it's like I have literally from 7 a.m. to 11. I have 4 hours to get 1,000 people. There's 1,000 people on the grounds before we open.
Yeah.
And I've got to get all their cars moved, all their shit, and like just like. Oh my gosh. And then it's like crazy traffic jams. And then the sheriffs will shut me down if I have one car move.
Yeah.
And I have 150 car show. One of the best car shows like in our area. Yeah. And so it's like insane. And so literally he calls me, he's like, because it's a 1-lane bridge on the other end of the frickin' park. And you're trying to filter people through. And I was like, so this year I finally got it where I was like, nope, go that way, go that way. Like, you don't want to go down there. You're going to be jammed for an hour. And then I had the fire department on that year that you called me. And having my husband be a fire captain, I appreciate and love all firefighters, but I may not have the same respect for them as other people in the community. And so when I had a fire engine trying to cruise through at 10:30 in the morning, and I am trying to work out a kink that you were on for this traffic jam, and I get in front of the fire engine, I'm like, I get everybody like bows down to you guys, but I need you to stop and don't frickin' move your truck. And he's just staring at me, and I'm like, My
Yeah.
husband's a fire captain. Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but like, dude, do not freaking move.
Yeah.
I'm like dealing with a crisis at this end because it was like literally I got off the phone with you,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm working it out down here,
Oh,
like,
it
but
was-
you're a mess, and I'm
Yeah,
like, I
it was
know.
like- It was intense.
Oh,
It's a one-way road that goes around this park.
oh God, it's such a mess.
And the everyone was trying to come in, and the traffic was backed up onto the onto the 23,
On to the
out
101.
to the 101.
Yep.
And they panicked. Somebody panicked and called an executive decision out on the street and told the cars to go the wrong way into the one-way street.
Oh my God, it was so
And so
insane.
all the cars were
It was
coming
so
in the
insane.
wrong way, and
Yep.
all of a sudden I was like, we were sitting, we were like we were trying to get the truck out, the Tarantula truck out,
Yep.
and
'Cause
all
we're
of a
trying
sudden,
to get like, you're trying to get all
Yeah.
the like vendors and everybody's out.
Everyone was trying to
besides
leave.
Besides the like classic cars, it was such a mess.
and it
we
was
had
like, and all of a sudden I see it happening, and I was like, this is about to be a gridlock of like a huge level, like it's literally gonna lock up. And then there was one of the women out there was a volunteer, and I was like, I got out of the truck, ran up there, and I was like, you got to shut them down, or it's literally about to melt, And she's like, okay, and she shut them down, and then it was like, cool. I was like, okay, cool, it's gonna clear up, and all of a sudden here they come again, and they're coming. I was like, oh my God! I went back. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I just thought you meant for like a second, and I was like,
oh yeah.
oh my God,
Oh,
no. And then I called Marissa. I was like, Marissa, like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be chill, whatever. It's like, because they were
And
coming
I'm like,
in,
oh my God.
they were all trying to pull into this. It was like, oh my God, it was so intense. It was like,
We fixed that though this year. This
Yeah.
year was much more chill. Like
Yeah,
I
no, for
finally
sure.
realized I needed like 5 different traffic controls with
Yeah.
like walkie-talkies in the morning to like freaking communicate and be like, okay, or so
Yeah.
we fixed that. So
and then I remember this year I pulled up here in the golf cart, and I was like, it seemed way more like controlled. I got dropped off this year because I was like, I think I took an Uber because I was like, I'm not even trying to bring a car in
yeah.
because it was such a mess last year, whatever. And I saw her, and she was just like, don't even fucking come talk to me right now. Like, but it was way more controlled. Like you weren't
Yeah.
nearly as
yeah.
stressed.
No, it gets better every year. I feel like my mother always said like it's 5 years to mastery in anything. So this is my 5th year. So hopefully like year 6 next year will be amazing. We'll see. Everyone's like, are you going to run it again? I'm like, well, I didn't document anything well enough to let anyone else run
Just
it.
give
so.
everybody those folders back. Be like,
Yeah,
here
exactly.
you go.
Give them the original folders.
That like literally were for a whole different
Yeah.
location. I was like,
It's super easy when you have the whole
soccer
field,
field.
right?
Yeah, which
None of those problems you would have, right?
Oh my gosh! And then I had people like, "Oh, you got elected to like Conejo Recreation and Park Board is
Yeah.
like chili cook-off going back to the soccer fields," and I'm like, "Yeah, no."
No.
Like
Come on, let's go.
I'm 1/5 of the vote, and like, no, they're not gonna let us back on there.
All right.
No.
I
And
think it's in a good
You drink?
location.
yeah,
Do you guys need another drink?
sure, why not?
Yeah. What do you want, Danny?
Look
That
at
guy
this
right there, his name is Waldy. Ask Waldy to come here. Yes. Yeah. Let's take this this moment to shift gears.
Yeah. What do you want to talk
Josh, you need something?
about? Do you need another lemon drop, Josh? I know you like those.
No, I want to have what you guys are having.
I think you should. I don't know
I
about
love
that
an
lemon
old-fashioned.
drop.
It's a lot of sugar.
I know that lemon drop. I
There's
was
no
like,
more sugar in the old fashioned than that lemon
Josh
drop.
can't
Yeah.
have too much
Wait,
sugar.
you're
He has to
saying that
watch it
there's-
because he has a tattoo on his stomach now.
Yes.
So he has
oh,
to.
I
saw
kind of
that.
saw
Yes,
that.
I
I'd like
can't-
to
I
see
saw
that.
that.
I kind of saw that when you were
Oh.
like fixing a camera, and I'm like, what's up with that?
That's because he wears
I-
crop tops now.
I've done it
Oh,
so
I
that
like
I
it.
can never put on too much weight because then it's going to be stretched out, and,
Oh.
and that
Yeah.
would be terrible.
You
Yeah.
know what? You just marry someone
3 old
who gets
fashions.
paid to work out and has 7% body fat, and then you literally
want?
live with that shame every day. You don't even need
Water.
a tattoo because you're like, this asshole comes home from like a 72-hour shift and is so
Okay.
swole,
Okay.
and you're like, fuck me, I need to go to cardio
Yeah.
kickboxing.
Okay. I'll keep
That's
that.
pretty much my
You
life.
told me a little too late. This is you should have got me
I'm
like
just
2
saying,
weeks ago.
I have no
2
tattoos.
weeks
I
ago.
didn't. I don't need it because I live with this asshole over here.
Wow.
So, I mean, I love him, and luckily, like I say, he's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Good looking man.
hey, and
You
if
did.
we all got paid to work out,
I know.
2 hours a day they're scheduled. You know
I
that?
know. It's
8 to
crazy.
10. Could you imagine
Yeah.
what you could do with your body from 8 to 10?
Jesus.
Like, if I didn't have
Yeah.
to drop my kids off and I could say, hey, sorry, you
Sorry.
got to be at the fire station at 7:30 in the morning, honey. And then I got to work out from 8 to 10. So
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd all be ripped, right?
Yes, exactly.
Luckily, he can't hear us right now.
Yeah.
As he looks over.
We
right.
in our episode with Danny, Jeff and I were trying to convince him to start jiu-jitsu.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
say? He's not flexible at all. That'd be great for him.
We'll stretch them out.
Good. He needs it.
Yeah.
He needs it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. He is the least. And our children got into like dance and gymnastics early, and I said, "Do you understand who your parents are? Like you're screwed genetically. Like you have me and Danny. Like I'm not very flexible, and then you have your father who can't touch his toes. So you're kind of screwed. So I think it'd be great for him to do that. I think you guys should definitely get him to do it, because he has lower back issues, and I always say it's because he has tight hips." Although when he's on the dance floor, those hips don't lie, and I've never seen a man move his hips ever like that in my life. So it's very.
Because
He's
of the
Elvis.
tightness.
Maybe is that
Yeah.
what it is?
Yeah.
The tightness. They just like.
It just gets in
Yeah,
there.
I mean.
It's tight.
So no. you
Okay,
should
so
totally.
we're going to shift into the tool segment of the show, and I think you're going to be an all-star on this because you are very insightful, and both of you guys are two of the most positive people I know, and have so many I don't know, like just I feel like you're a great mom, you're a great person in our community. You do obviously we were talking about all the stuff you do for the community. This obviously we all we reap the rewards of the fun of the chili cook-off, whatever, but you guys, in doing so, having all those people, raise a bunch of money to help the people in the community, which is, which is awesome. But obviously you guys, like I said before, like you guys are like a power couple in our community, and very much respected and admired
Aw, you're
by
so
everybody
sweet.
here.
You're very sweet.
No, but I'm being serious. Big part of this show that we do is like we're curious about what makes people successful. And so that's kind of what Tool is like, what are the tools that that make people successful, and Tool kind of has like a meaning or whatever, but it's something that's like like if you're out there on the grind every day, regardless if it's with your kids or with your job or with your community service, with the park and recs, all these things, whatever, you're out there grinding, and there's something, you have a toolbox inside your head that you're using these tools every day to make this happen or whatever. Like, what is thank you, JR. If you had to kind of pick one of those that you could like very clearly attribute to your success, and that you would be cool to share with everybody who's going to watch this, like, what is that?
The hundreds of thousands of fans that are going to watch
Yeah.
this right now. Wow,
It's
that's a
I'm
lot
sorry.
of pressure.
It's more like millions.
Okay, the millions
But that's
of fans,
okay.
but that's a lot of pressure.
But no, I mean, and honestly, it's mostly people in our community.
Yeah.
We definitely, every day I'm out here with the people and like, hey, it's on the podcast and so, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, it's really cool that, it's people in the community, and it's people that we see here every day. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm cool with that. It doesn't need to be, people in Germany watching it or whatever, but.
Well, and if it is, whatever. Yeah, no, it's interesting, like, as you're talking about it, I'm thinking about so many different phases of my life.
Yeah.
So, and I think, like, You know, it's really easy to talk about your routines and your habits when you're successful.
Yeah.
But there's a time in your life when you weren't successful and nobody was there and nobody was watching and nobody was asking, right? So when I got into commercial real estate, as I mentioned, from coming from one of my regulars in the restaurant, and I was in commercial real estate for a very brief period, right? It was amazing and everything was awesome. And then we had the credit crisis and we then went into the Great Recession. And so during that phase, I had gotten my degree from Pepperdine. And, you know, commercial real estate, I went from making six figures to at 25 to all of a sudden making $7,000 in 1 year. So you go from $100,000 to $7,000 in 1 year. And we had just got married. You know, he's thinking he's marrying this like baller wife who's going to be like contributing so much, and
Sugar
then finds
mama.
out, holy shit, this bitch can't make anything. So you go from that in your young life, right, at 26, to be like, holy shit, what am I going to do? And I had this degree from Pepperdine, which I thought was, you know, going to make me so much money.
Yeah.
And so I put out over 100 applications, and my 2 interviews were Enterprise Rent-A-Car as a manager. And I don't know if anyone's rented a car from Enterprise. I mean, I'm sure the cars are amazing and all that, but when you walk in there, that's not a job you really want to do, right? And then the second interview I got was at Northwestern Mutual to sell life insurance. And not to say that they aren't amazing and that their products aren't great, but to sell life insurance in the middle of a recession to people who can't pay their mortgage and have lost their jobs is not really something you want to do, right?
No.
So I'd like to talk about that time period, right? Where like I literally, all I wanted to do was have a baby. Like I was so excited to be married. I thought I was making so much money and thought I was a hot shot and hot shit and realized I wasn't. And all I wanted was to have a baby. So at that time, Danny was a federal firefighter and working construction and busting his ass. And I was like, couldn't figure out how to make money. And I was like, okay, am I going to have to go back and waitress and bartend, and which I was totally open to doing. But I was like, okay, I have this degree and I have this experience in commercial real estate. And like, how do I get from here to like where I want to be back in a phase of like having financial, like not security, but like just making some freaking money and then being able to have a baby. And so that was literally like one of the hardest times. And a lot of my new agents, I talked to them about this because I went bankrupt in that time. A lot of people don't know that. So when you're married, you can go bankrupt just one person. And I did. And a lot of people are like, I can't believe you admit that to people. And I'm like, you know what? You hit the low of the low, you really realize where you're at.
Yeah.
And I thought I was super hot shit at 25 making $100,000. Like, I was like, thought I was amazing. And then I made $7,000 and then had to go bankrupt. And my husband was working his ass off. And, you know, and so when you have to like go through that process in the beginning of your young marriage and all of it, and then you realize, okay. And my mom luckily works in residential and mortgage, and she said, you know what, you need to go into residential. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? My mindset was just, I was destroyed, right? I thought I was hot shit, and then I realized I wasn't.
Yeah.
And realized that like shit happens, and there's things totally out of all of our control that, hey, when banks start to freaking crash, we're all screwed.
Yeah.
Right? So you come to that moment. And so I got into residential. My mom convinced me to go into it. And I was so lucky to run into this super old school mentality coaching, Mike Ferry. And he taught me 80% of your life is mindset, 20% is skills. And that the most enthusiasm will win all day long over skills. So I was like, okay, 80% of it is mindset. So if I can convince myself that I am the best person for this job and that I will work harder than anyone else and all of these things, right? So every morning I got up and I chanted affirmations every morning. I literally like went over my listing presentation every day on the way to work. I got on the phones and dealt with multiple, like I can't even tell you how much rejection for 4 hours a day, and just kept going through it. And that whole like that whole like episode of my life and trying to convince myself that I was worthy to take people's listings when I was financially unstable.
Yeah.
But you know what happened is that there were so many people going through such hard times that when I would share with them my story, then they realized, oh wow, there's a person who actually really fucking cares.
Yeah.
And doesn't really care about that commission check. And so that heart-to-heart connection with human beings is what really like helped me, even though I was in a time of like pushing myself through with affirmations and from, you know, getting up and like chanting things to myself and having all of these moments to connecting with humans on a like very like primal basis when they're in need, created this mantra where I kind of have this thing where I'm like, okay, I just want to see how far she can go. Like, I have this whole thing of like why I ran for Conejo Recreation and Park, why I ran the chili cook-off. I look at like, if I survived that, where I thought I was hot shit and then shit was really shitty, and I was able to connect with people and like work my way out of it and ended up, you know, going from $7,000 to making 6 figures and then on, that I was like, okay, if I stay true to myself and to other people and do right by them and work on my own mindset, then let's see what happens. And so my whole thing now is like, anything I want to do, well, try it and see what happens when you don't quit. Because I think so many of us think, oh, I'm going to go try this, but then you give up. And it's like, no, see it through. See what happens when you don't quit. Because that's when you're like, so I ran for Conejo Recreation and Park Board because I was in a place in my life where when I went on a listing appointment, I wasn't nervous anymore. And that bothered me because it became something that was, I know I'm good at. I know if someone's going to list with me, I know I have their best interest forward, like all the day long. I know I'm better than most real estate agents. And so running for Conejo Recreation and Park was finally something that challenged me to make me nervous. And the whole thing is like getting out of your comfort zone. So like if something makes you uncomfortable, pursue it. Don't be afraid of it. See what happens when you don't quit when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's what life is about.
Yeah.
It's not about, oh, I can just stay here and hang out here and be comfortable. It's about what makes you uncomfortable, pursue it, and see what happens. Because you might surprise yourself and be like, holy shit, I didn't even realize I could do that. I never once imagined my name on a ballot on a president or a midterm election. Yeah. Never. I never even thought about it. And now it's like, one of my girls is like, oh, you can check that box. I'm like, well, that's funny. That was never a box to be checked on my list.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people checked it, apparently. That's how you got in.
Well, yeah, which is awesome, right? But that's my whole thing is it's like, whatever, like, you kind of halfway think about, it's like, pursue it.
Yeah.
Try it. See what happens. Don't be afraid to be uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, then you become comfortable with what's uncomfortable, and you grow. Yeah. And if you're not growing in life, my husband and I have a saying, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
And it's like, most of the people I know who are unhappy, it's because they're not pursuing something. And it doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be whatever, like it can be giving back.
I always like to say it's, if you're willing to learn, you're willing to grow.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and it could
it's
be
really about learning. You know, I think it's
exactly.
like, and when you're uncomfortable, when you're uncomfortable, you're learning.
Yeah. Because
you have to swim or you're going to sink.
Yes.
And so I really think, I work with a lot of people where they're unwilling to learn, and I know that means they're unwilling to grow, you know, and it's really about opening up and willing and putting yourself out there. So I love that.
Totally. And that's the thing is like I have my vision board and it just says like, you know, I want to see what happens when I don't quit.
Yeah. Because
it's so easy to quit.
Yeah, 2 things come to mind for me in what you're talking about. Was like, one was, you know, my experience here, like I think the root of what you just said is the 80-20 philosophy.
Yep.
And I really like that. I don't know if I've ever thought about the math on that basically, but like me coming in here and doing this job, I had in the beginning I had zero experience, right? So I had to find even that 20%, and then the other 80% was my confidence that I could do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I was, as you were saying it, I was Jeff and I know each other from jiu-jitsu. We trained together, and I was kind of thinking like, does that apply there too? It was like, what did you say? It was 20%.
It's
skill.
So it's
20% skill
mindset and it's
80% mindset.
skills.
Right.
But it's like, but then they always say that like enthusiasm can overtake skills.
Okay.
So like if you don't have quite the skills, but you're enthusiastic about what you're learning.
Yeah,
so
no,
in
for
jiu-jitsu,
sure.
like you can overcome someone who has skills.
No, but I'm like, do you see where I'm going with that? Like, could you apply that? Like,
I would say first, I love that.
yeah.
So I think that applies in a lot of cases. And
Yeah.
I was sitting here going, maybe it's 90-10. You know what I mean? Like,
I like the 90-10 even
I'm like,
better.
maybe it's 90-10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of the quotes, like showing up
yeah.
in life, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And so I totally 100% love that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that would probably work most of the time. I think in jiu-jitsu, I think it's in a different,
But at every
Okay.
level, I think it's still
in a different
applies,
dynamic,
right?
let's
Yeah.
say, right? Like,
Yeah.
because we had, like, in jiu-jitsu, it's so technical.
Yeah.
If you're very technical, you can beat someone that is like someone comes in and has a lot of energy and maybe way stronger than you, bigger than you, and
And you rely on
John,
your skills.
So
John would flip them around and like choke them real quick, right?
So I have to admit, I was the high school wrestling captain. So I don't know if it's quite
You got
the
some
same.
skills. You want to come on the
but-
mats too? When Danny's coming next week.
Oh, I can
Let's
pin
go.
Danny all day long.
All right, let's go.
He doesn't appreciate
Both of them are
it.
coming.
I coach wrestling.
Oh, so my senior year I didn't play soccer and I wrestled, and the
That's
coach
awesome.
was really mad that I didn't play the whole year because, or like before, and I'm like, I played soccer, like I just came to work out. And so I like kind of get what you're saying, because like I didn't really know what I was doing, but then because I was playing, like, but it was more, I had confidence.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
Because I was a tomboy and was like, yeah, let's freaking go. And we had a girls team that I was a captain of, but we had no other girls team to wrestle against.
Yeah.
So we only wrestled against dudes. And being 18 and fully developed, wrestling against a 14-year-old boy in the 135 weight class was extremely unfair. That kid probably had never touched a girl in his life, and then he's getting in the ring with me, and it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And so I had those 5 seconds of like doubt, and because I had the confidence, it was so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could see where you're like, it is mindset, because
Yeah. It's mindset.
Well,
yeah.
I think
important.
like in jiu-jitsu and even more than wrestling with jiu-jitsu, because there's a lot more technique, I think, and people look at how you coach wrestling traditionally is very different how we learn jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's like stronger, harder, faster. Like, drive that in harder versus change this degree. But so I think like being very technical in jiu-jitsu, you can destroy people that don't know what they're doing, and they're very enthusiastic, and maybe very strong and even bigger than you.
Yeah.
However, I think I always remember this one story. Our Professor Fabio told me he was in the world's competition. He had recently got his black belt. The guys that were in his division were like these legacy guys that were just monsters. And I said, well, what was going through your head going in
so
there?
they don't have weight classes? You
Well,
just wrestle whoever?
there are weight classes. There are weight classes.
Oh, okay.
But these guys he was going in fresh black belt, and these guys are legends in the sport, right? Like just legends. And I said, well, what was going through your brain? You know, like what were you telling yourself? I always like to understand like what people are saying to themselves. And I've never heard this before. And he won, first of all. He won this tournament and beat some guys that had never been beat before. And he said, I knew I wasn't better than them, but today I was going to beat them.
I love it.
And I was like, wow, man, that's priceless.
Yeah.
You know, he knew. He's like, I know I wasn't better than them, but today I'm going to be better and I'm going to beat them today. And
No,
he beat
that
them.
fits the bill of what you're saying, that you know, the skill, you know, like, you know, they weren't on the same level, whatever, but like the mindset being the bigger part of it is what won on that day.
Yeah.
You know, like even if the skill was, you know, comparable.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Which it maybe wasn't, but.
So like my team, my real estate agents, my newer ones, they were like, said to me like, oh, well, you're like acting like you are successful and you are having this like, because you're trying, right, in your mind to pursue yourself as like being successful. Like, isn't that imposter syndrome? And I was like,
no.
What? And I'm like, okay. Maybe when I started, like that wasn't a thing, and this is like a newer thing. And I'm like, you have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You have to. And I'm like, just because you believe in yourself, I don't know if I definitely believe that's like you're impostering. Like him saying, I knew I was going to win that day.
Yeah.
Is he an imposter because he hadn't won before and because he's going up against legends? No, it's like, that's not being an imposter. That's like having some freaking self-confidence in yourself that like, I'm going to take this on. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And now today he's a legend.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
and that's the thing where I'm like,
there's
this
a
whole
thing
I think
where
imposter syndrome. I'm like, I don't
I would say about
somebody came up with a concept of imposter syndrome, but
I
like
don't get it.
on that day, he
You're
was
not.
an imposter, right? Until he wasn't.
Wow.
You know, and now he's the legend. Right? Like, so it's like the fake it till you make it thing. Like,
yes.
you have to fake it until you make it. It's
But
not
I'm
imposter
like, but
syndrome.
you're not
That's
an
a
imposter.
that's a
like, I also believe that's like
that's a terrible
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like,
that's
is
some
that
hater who came up with that
Right?
word, right? Yeah.
And it's funny because when I was newer in the business, like, I don't know when that all came out, but that wasn't a thing. And so just recently training new agents, and they said that to me, I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, I think there's something else that would be said about like and that is something that you said earlier, and I can't quote it exactly, but it's like you're willing to ask for help, like and tell your story. So I think a lot of people when they fake it to make it aren't successful, because if you're not willing to like tell the truth too about who you are and where you're at, like then people want to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I see you do this all the time. You're like, you just tell people what's going on and whatever. People are like, how can I help? And like you get, and you're such an inclusion. Like, you, all these people, you start to get all these people doing stuff.
Yeah.
And people want to be part of it. You know what I mean? So I think the people that are like faking it, they don't truly believe.
well,
One,
and that's what was
and
so
then
hard.
they
I'm like,
also
I don't
they
really
also
get
aren't
this.
transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're transparent, then people want to help you. Like people want to help people.
Yeah.
100%.
But there is a thing also, like when like, you know, all the Tony Robbins stuff, blah blah blah, like mantras. They say, you know, you say it, but you also have to search to feel it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter and
you
it
have to
doesn't
believe it,
work.
for sure, yeah.
You have to believe it, but you can say it. But that you can have that underlining kind of maybe I'm saying it, but you know, like you have to like find that flow to
Well, you have
feel
to.
it.
Yeah.
And if you can feel it
Yes.
and you can say it,
Yeah.
then I think it's more
Well, and you have to realize, why are you feeling and saying it? Like, what is your motivation at the end of
your
it?
why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's a
no why.
huge thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, I personally write a letter to myself at the beginning of the year, coming from myself at the end of the year, for whatever my goals are. And it's like literally in the past tense that I have accomplished those goals. And I've done this for years. And I think it's really important because you're envisioning it. And then I also do vision boards of like what I want, because when you're going through a lot of rejection or defeat, like jiu-jitsu, whatever it is that you're physically challenging yourself or mentally challenging yourself with, like it's super important to have a really strong emotional tie to that.
Yeah.
So that's what, I mean, I think that's really important.
Awesome.
On that note,
Cheers.
Cheers.
You're the best.
Thanks for
We love
joining
you
us.
so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so
It's
much.
super fun.